Can I beat Dredge, but backwards? Yes, that's right. In today's video, I am going to give the whole game a twist and attempt to beat it backwards. I have to collect the last relic first and end with the first one. That means I have to go to the most dangerous area first with the worst boat possible and no abilities. Everything there is going to one-shot me and I can't even protect myself or flee. Also, to make it even harder, I will try to beat the game within 30 days, so I have no time to upgrade my boat and make it easier for myself. Believe me when I say that this is a real challenge. Well, see for yourself, and without further ado, let the challenge begin. For those of you who don't know, Dredge is a creepy fisher game where you need to gather resources, upgrade your ship and fight off sea monsters to survive. The goal of the game is to collect 5 different relics scattered all over the map. Usually, you start with a relic right next to Great Marrow. Then, you have to go to the Gale cliffs, the Stellar Basin, the Twisted Strands and lastly the Devil's Spine. But in this challenge, the order is flipped around and we start with the most dangerous area first. At the beginning of the game, I woke up in the city of Great Marrow and couldn't remember anything. The mayor told me a bunch of things, mainly that I had a boating accident and now have to work as a fisherman to pay off my new boat. So, I started my career as a fisherman and collected a lot of fish. I knew I had to wait until day 5 before the first corrupted fish could show up. This fish would then advance the storyline to the point where I could start collecting the relics. In order to use the time as efficiently as possible, I tried to earn as much money as I could and also purchased the necessary boat upgrades for the later stages of the game. My first fishing tour took me until the early evening of the first day, but I managed to earn almost $170. After I sold my fish, the mayor approached me again and handed me a research part. These are pretty important to the challenge, because I need a late game fishing rod right at the start, which means I need to collect a lot of research parts fast and invest them all in fishing rods. After that, I bought myself a new fishing rod to catch in shallow waters and paid off the rest of my debts. I continued fishing in the night and collected a few fish I knew I needed for a quest that appeared the next day. I also needed a fish that appeared only on daytime, so I went for another trip and collected everything. For completing the quest, I got a good amount of money and also another quest. With that money, I bought a new engine to double my current speed. Once it was nighttime again, I headed for the quest fish, and after delivering them, I unlocked crab pots. These I used to catch crabs around the harbor while traveling across the sea. On day 3, I continued with some delivery quests and some fishing. So far, the preparations went as planned and I already collected more than $600. In the morning of the 4th day, I decided to collect some more research parts scattered around the island. I found one right next to some valuable stuff in a shipwreck. As day 5 started, I went out fishing immediately. The corrupted fish I needed to progress in the storyline now had a low percentage chance to be caught when fishing. Unfortunately, there was nothing at the first spot, nor at the second and third. I sold my fish, went out again and finally, after another emptied fishing spot, I got the corrupted fish I needed. I headed to the fishmonger as fast as possible, and after opening the fish, he gave me the handkerchief I then needed to deliver to the Blackstone Isle. Arriving there, this guy told me I needed to collect all 5 relics for him. He installed a dredge onto my boat, with which I could collect materials and relics. After finishing this part of the challenge, I only had to collect the remaining research parts to unlock the fishing rod for the Devil's Spine. For that, I completed the builder quest. This woman wanted me to help her gather materials and move to another island. After I assisted her, she gave me all the research parts I needed and I used those to research and purchase the fishing rod. I had finished my preparations and now it was time for the real challenge. The Devil's Spine is the most dangerous area on the map and I had to conquer it without any boat upgrades or abilities to defend myself or flee. I set off on my journey and arrived in the early morning of day 9. I only had 21 days left to collect all the relics, so I knew I had to go fast from now on. Unfortunately, at this time, I did not realize that I had forgotten something very important. This mistake could cost me days and mean the end of the challenge, but I don't want to anticipate anything, so keep watching and see for yourself. When I arrived, this man told me that I have to complete certain tasks from shrines to get 3 fathomless flames. With those, I could light up the statues on this island. As I knew that the first shrine wanted me to bring specific crabs, I started by putting down crab pots right next to the traveling merchant. I started moving across the stone structures very careful. Those piranhas swimming all around me could have been my instant death. They themselves would not attack me, but once they were on my trail, they would slow me down until their mother showed up to kill me. My boat was very slow and I had no banish or haste ability to defend myself, so I had to concentrate really hard not to get close to the piranhas. The The shrine right next to the pontoon was the first shrine that wanted crabs. The second and third shrine requested specific fish that I didn't know out of my head, which I would regret shortly afterwards. On the way to the second shrine, I collected a few fish that I could use later. To get to it, I had to go right through a bunch of piranhas, but luckily there was a steam vent right next to it, so I scared them away. I delivered one of the 2 fish I needed for the shrine and went looking for the second one. And that was the moment I knew I f***ed up. I just realized that I did not have the required fishing rod to catch the needed fish. This meant I first needed to unlock it before I could go on with the quest. Normally, this would not be a problem for a fishing rod you can just research, but for the Abyssal Rod, you actually need to go all the way to the Stellar Basin and complete a few quests there. Maybe not 51 years, but I already was on day 9 of 30 and had to travel over the whole ocean twice with the slowest boat possible. This would make the time challenge a lot harder. I wanted to start my way there, but unfortunately there was something in my way. The piranhas started to gather under me and slowed me down so much that I could barely move. It was only a matter of time until the mother would come and kill me. I knew she would deal 3 damage and I had 3 HP, so my end was near. She caught up and hit me, but I actually didn't die, even though my boat had no HP left. Surprised that this was even possible, I didn't move for a short moment, what was a big mistake. The piranha started to surround me again and the mother was already on her way. Fortunately, this time I managed to dodge her attack and escape somehow. I still didn't understand how this was even possible, but I repaired my boat and started my way to the Stellar Basin. If you maybe know how and why this works, please post it in the comments. On day 11 I finally arrived and talked to the researcher. I had to complete her quests and then the Abyssal Rod would be unlocked. First, she wanted me to bring her these fish. 2 of those I could just catch normally. And for the Aurora jellyfish I needed a trawl net. To unlock nets I had to upgrade the trawl spaces in the dry dock, and for that I was missing a few materials. While looking around for fabric, ghost ravens swarmed me. I just used my air horn to scare them away, and a second later this weird stone crab yeeted for me. Why is everything trying to kill me? I collected the fabric, upgraded my boat and installed the trawl net. From now on, the net catches a few fish daily and I just had to hope that it was the right one. This was another pretty RNG heavy part, since it could be days I lose just for this one fish. I quickly delivered the other 2 fish and went on with some fishing during the waiting time. Finally, on day 13, the Aurora jellyfish got caught in my net. After delivering it, the researcher wanted me to repair the radar station in the Stellar Basin, and after doing so, I could finally unlock the Abyssal Rod. With this side quest finished, I could finally head back to the Devil's Spine. On day 14 I arrived there, which meant that this mistake cost me 5 days. With only half of the time remaining and 0 relics collected, I had a hard time believing that the challenge was still possible, but I kept going. I headed for the needed fish, and it didn't take long until the piranhas swarmed me again. This time, the mother was already there, but fortunately I managed to escape her. I tried to catch the ghost shark I needed, but, well, I got interrupted. Those things wouldn't let me go, and I had nothing to defend myself or flee. See for yourself. This was the first death in this challenge, but I didn't surrender and tried again. I had to be very careful not to make the piranhas aware of me, or this would happen over and over again. I went out, caught the ghost shark and delivered it to the shrine. The shrine then released the first flame. I tried to escape, but the mother was already waiting for me, and after hitting the wall, she killed me. 3 is my lucky number, so I went out again, but this time I slept until the next morning, hoping this would make the enemies less aggressive. I collected and delivered the fish and finally managed to get back to the pond. Now that I got the first flame, I needed to catch corrupted fish for the second flame. I cleared 1, 2, 3, 4 and even 5 fishing spots until I finally found a corrupted fish. I delivered it and received the second flame. 1 more to go. I checked the crab pots that I placed before and was glad to see that they caught everything I needed. I couldn't wait to get out of this cursed area. With the third flame in possession, I sailed to the fanatic and placed all of the flames into the statues. The fanatic then burst into flames and left behind a pocket watch, the first relic. There we go. We got our first relic on day 17 of 30 and we still had 4 to go. This was going to be a close one. I drove back to the Blackstone Isle to deliver the relic and unlocked my first ability, Haste. With this, I was able to speed up my boat by a certain amount. The next stop in my reversed order were the Twisted Strands. I unlocked the necessary fishing rod and started my trip. Unfortunately, the way there did not run without incidents. This tornado appeared out of nowhere and wouldn't stop chasing me. I dodged it a few times and managed to get through the pond unharmed. I then headed right into the swamp and the Mindsucker was already waiting for me. This monster could not damage me, but raised my panic until some other things would attack me. I escaped it and talked to the airman in the middle of the swamp. He wanted me to collect 2 mortar parts so that he could use the mortar to snipe those Mindsuckers away. These were the spots I needed to look for, and I immediately navigated to them. This was not so easy, as my way got blocked by vines multiple times, which cost me valuable hours. I got the first part and went for the second part, but on my way, tentacles appeared out of nowhere and attacked me. Not once, but twice. My panic was so high, everything tried to attack me. After that, I managed to get the second mortar part and headed back to the airman. He then wanted me to get specific fish so that he could produce bait for the Mindsuckers. As I was looking through my scope to search for the specific fish, one of them appeared out of nowhere. I knew that Mindsuckers only detect the boat by movement, so I played dead for a while and hoped he would not notice me. Fortunately, he disappeared shortly after. Because my panic was so high, the tentacles also attacked me every few seconds. Mostly I managed to dodge them, but sometimes they hit me. This happened so often that I was scared it would cost me too much time. I had only 9 days left and 4 more relics to go. Anyways, I did as I was told and brought the airman all the fish. I then used the bait to lure in the Mindsuckers on 3 different spots. They really liked the smell and appeared immediately to eat it. But before they could do so, the trap would come down and the airman sniped them away, one after the other. Finally, those things would not annoy me anymore. I took the evidence to the airman and in return he gave me the second relic. I was 21 days into the challenge and had only 8.5 days left to get the last 3 relics. I wasted no time and made my way back to deliver it. This time I got the manifest ability that allowed me to teleport back to the Blackstone Isle at any time and would save valuable hours in the future. The next stop was the Stellar Basin. Fortunately, I had already finished the majority of the quests needed to acquire the relic in the basin's center. To frighten the large tentacle monster away, I turned on the radio tower I had previously repaired. I then researched the Abyssal Rod and started to collect some money to buy it. A few rounds of fishing later, I bought the rod, installed it and started to look for the relic. And there it was. 3 relics found, 2 more to go. I finally had the feeling that I could still complete the challenge, even though I had only 7 days left. I used Manifest to get back to the Blackstone Isle as fast as possible and unlock the next ability, Banish. This would allow me to banish all dangers from now on. The final 2 relics were the simplest. The Gale cliffs were my next stop and I started my trip immediately. The first step involved finishing the quest line, provided by the 2 brothers who lived in the cities close to the cliffs. They wanted me to solve a dispute between them. For that, I needed to find their lost family crest in the middle of the cliffs. This wouldn't be a problem if there was no giant serpent defending it, but since I had already unlocked the banish ability, I had high hopes to make it through there unharmed. I headed into the cliffs carefully, always prepared to use banish or flee. I spotted the crest in the middle, but the monster also spotted me. Nevertheless, I managed to scare it away and collect the crest. I speeded back to deliver it, but on my way, everything tried to kill me again. Rocks appearing out of nowhere and strange tornadoes chasing me. I still managed to get back unharmed. The next thing they wanted from me was to blow up the rocks in the entry of the cliffs. Since Banish was still on cooldown, I tried to dodge the monster waiting for me and managed to do so, but he wouldn't stop chasing me and hit me shortly after. Fortunately, it dealt only 2 damage, so I could proceed and detonate the dynamite. I headed back and reunited the 2 brothers. As a reward, I got some more dynamite, which I could use to get to the next relic. I dredged it up, and voila, 4 of the 5 relics collected. Nothing could stop me from winning the challenge now, right? Well, I manifested back and delivered the relic. The last, most easy relic was right next to the starting location, since you were supposed to get that one first. Without much effort, I got there, dredged it up, and finally held the last relic in my hands. All this time I thought the challenge had already failed early, but I didn't give up, and in the end I even had 6 days left. I delivered the last relic to the collector and went with him on my last trip. The ending to this game is really scary, but very beautiful, so keep watching. Also, don't forget to subscribe, so that we together can reach the next big milestone, and you won't miss any future challenges and other content. If you have any challenge ideas, let me know in the comments and see you in the next one.